Infrastructure is a collaborative research centre that brings together the faculties of engineering, informatics, science and commerce in research and teaching. Our research looks at things like rail logistics, synthetic populations, utilities management and livability. So why is it such a big deal for SMART to be in the business of research data management? There's a few reasons. SMART's initial startup funding came from a range of different sources, each with their own requirements. One of these sources was the Higher Education Endowment Fund, and one of the requirements of our funding was that SMART set up an infrastructure data centre. The goal for SMART is to be the centre for infrastructure data across Australia and internationally. Academics, business and policymakers will be able to visit the data centre to find a range of data sources, resources and information about integrated infrastructure. From its very inception, SMART, the university and the funding bodies have regarded data as an asset, and like all assets, it needs to be protected. SMART's technical areas of expertise are in agent-based computer modelling, simulations, visualisations and business intelligent platforms. These tools are typically developed as part of our academic, commercial and consultancy projects around rail, air, utilities, telecommunications, transport and livability. The nature of these tools, as well as our projects, are very data intensive, in that they require vast amounts of data sets from various sources, each with their own licensing, terms of use, confidentiality and security conditions. As a custodian of various infrastructure data sets from public, private and research sources alike, SMART needs to have a thorough understanding of the risks associated with the provision of commercially confidential and sensitive data in our academic and commercial projects. We also needed a mechanism to mitigate these risks to ensure security and transparency for our data providers. The Smart Data Centre framework was born to mitigate this risk. The framework was a project developed and delivered by the Smart Data team. The data centre framework can be seen as the interrelation between policies, processes, IT infrastructure and expertise to provide the necessary support for the Smart Research program to fully leverage our data assets and research capabilities. So what does this really mean and how did we come up with this particular model? First of all, we looked at ourselves. SMART is a research strength at the University of Wollongong, but we found that at the university we were quite unique. SMART's very outward facing, and by that I mean primarily most of our research is project-based commercial work. Our stakeholders range from big business to government, but not all of our research is commercial or project-based. So we needed to develop a framework geared towards project management, but flexible enough to meet the needs of our researchers for their pure research endeavours as well. Another aspect to our framework was that it had to be scalable to the rest of the university. Because SMART had the funding, this project was seen to be a pilot project with the intent that the rest of the university could benefit from what we'd put together. So we looked at other universities, we looked at libraries, we looked at other similar research institutions, and we looked at corporate data centres. And what we came up with was 3 distinct but interrelated parts to our framework. So we've got IT systems, governance, and people. So our IT systems can be seen sort of as the hardware, the software, and other facilities which supports data-related activities. One of the first IT projects SMART engaged in was to secure some space for our data. SMART worked closely with and was supported by the university's Information and Technology Services Division on this project. Due to our commercial and contractual requirements to safeguard the confidentiality of the data and to guarantee the commercial privacy of our clients, we had to make sure our data storage ticked a few boxes. It had to be secure, but it also had to be easily accessible for those who needed it. It had to be recoverable in case of disasters, and it had to be reliable and scalable. Scalable not only for large data sets, but for the rest of the university too. This space also had to link with our next big IT system, our metadata system. As a metadata system is really the front end to our data repository and the means by which our researchers and stakeholders can discover our data assets. The Smart Metadata System is an interoperable, robust platform used to capture, manage, discover and reuse infrastructure data. The system promotes interdisciplinary research outputs through enhanced discoverability and visibility of infrastructure-related data assets. That's our sort of textbook marketing type definition, but it doesn't really tell you anything about what it is. So it's really this. So what we did was we engaged our vendor, who was Lisasoft. They're a geospatial and software development company, and they built the system. The system is essentially the GeoNetwork catalog application with a BonitaSoft workflow layer on top. GeoNetwork was chosen for its map-based displays, map-based searching, its adherence to metadata standards, and its ability to store not only spatial data, but almost any other kind of data. GeoNetwork is secure, with access to data and metadata controlled by group membership and user privileges. And it was chosen because of its interoperability with other data catalogues. We're working at the moment with ANZ and with Lisasoft to have our system talk to Research Data Australia, where RDA will have the ability to automatically harvest our public metadata records. The BonitaSoft layer makes GeoNetwork user-friendly. It shows our branding, it provides workflows, notifications, and step-by-step instructions for creating metadata. The Smart Metadata System, it's pretty close to being complete. We're in the final stages and be rolling out in the very near future, hopefully with metadata in it. Our last substantial IT system that we created is related to how we use our working data. Data can be stored as read-only in our data repository and then transferred to security-controlled scratch spaces. These spaces give our researchers the ability to play with the data without affecting the integrity of the original data set. This space is where we create derived data or secondary data sets, where we do our analysis, and from here we can upload these next data sets back into the data repository and the metadata system for both safekeeping and discoverability. Okay, so the next section's on governance. The Smart Data Governance Model consists of robust and best practice structures of policy, procedures, and integrated project data management. Smart's own policy analyst has developed a university-wide data management policy which details the legislative, statutory, and legal protocols regarding ownership, use, access, control of research data at the university. Smart has worked closely with the university's legal unit. We have in-house data access agreements. We have a range of different licensing templates we can use for our data sets. We have developed comprehensive data management guidelines and procedures specific to our researchers and projects, but we've also made these guidelines available to the wider university community as well. We have comprehensive data management planning templates, project planning templates. A smart researcher can easily find information specifically made for them regarding IP, ethical requirements, data transfer, data storage, and even information about the importance of good data management practices. At Smart, we've made data management planning a mandatory part of all project initiatives. This process ensures that all aspects of data management are considered from the commencement of each research project. Okay, people, yeah. The Smart Data team consists of 2 data managers, a technical officer and a policy analyst. The data managers have been assigned to assist with research data activities so the researchers can focus on the task at hand. We facilitate data management planning, which includes regular communication with the primary project's contacts. We understand and communicate specific data licensing and confidentiality agreements to ensure that all compliance requirements are met. This includes managing and disseminating data access agreements to all the team. We work together with researchers to implement the e-research tools that they need for their research. We manage and maintain the relationships established by Smart researchers with our key data providers. We liaise with other units at the university on behalf of Smart. Units like our Innovation and Commercial Research Unit, the Legal Services Unit, the Library, and our IT services. We help in the understanding and preparation of metadata around all data sets used and created for the Smart projects. And we also act as a point of contact for the provision of access to Smart data sets for internal and external users. So how do we add value to Smart research? The Smart data managers were embedded within the project and research teams. The processes around data management are an integral part of each and every project. Because we're part of the team, we know what the projects are about, we know the data, we know how it's used, and we know what the data outputs will be. We know the researchers, and more importantly, they know who we are and what we can do for them. The data team are here to keep our ears to the ground in the world of data management. We attend conferences like this. We're part of different communities. We have different networks, different degrees, different skill sets to the researchers, and by diversifying like this, we're in a great position to add value to the research that would not normally be there. Apart from data sharing, reuse and discoverability, a lot of data management planning is to minimise risk. With Smart's focus on commercial and consultancy work, risk is ever present. The value we add here is that we give assurances to all our stakeholders that Smart takes data management seriously, and via this Smart data management framework, the data integrity is guaranteed. 5 minutes? No minutes. That's the end of the... So, any questions, anyone?
Your metadata systems?
Yeah.
With GeoNetwork. I was wondering, are you using that because you're using the 19115 standard? And also, if you are, or even regardless of which standard you're using, how are you finding your researchers are actually entering metadata?
Yeah, what we've done is we've created, so it's so we do use that standard, and that standard requires a validation process, and sometimes it's a bit tricky to get all that right. What we do is we have set templates that just capture some of the key metadata elements, so who it is, the description, the abstract, is it a data set, sort of the main fields, and then we work with them to try and fill in the blanks or some of the harder stuff. Yeah.
Just to satisfy my curiosity, can you tell us roughly how many projects you have and roughly how much data you have?
Probably running about 4 or 5 projects at the moment. In terms of space, we're probably there's about 1 terabyte of data in our warehouse, but we're collecting data from there's probably 30 data providers at the moment, so it's a lot of paperwork for all those people. Yeah, a lot of different securities and things set up. Yeah.
Hi, Tim, Anne Stevenson, CSIRO.
G'day.
Great to see how far Smart's come since we spoke
Yeah,
last year.
that's great. Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. Interoperability,
Yep.
you talked about in your textbook marketing.
Yeah.
So do you, does the system integrate with other data type repositories like the Research Office?
The first thing we're doing is trying to get it right, just to capture data to get it validated. Our next plan is to have it linked with RDA. The next one is we'll be harvesting from other GeoNetwork catalogues, and then the next one will be figuring out how to do it for anything else.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
I guess the other question is, are the researchers adding the metadata themselves, or is it actually an intermediary process?
We're providing templates for the metadata, so it's getting captured a bit at the moment on like Excel spreadsheets and things like that, and I'm putting it into the system. The plan is, though, with that workflow, is that the researchers will become editors, and the head researcher will become the publisher of that data. So hopefully we'll take ourselves out of the equation eventually. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
No worries. Cool. All right. Thank you. Thank you.